The Evergreen Media Network Studios, brought to you by Evergreen Media, creating cohesive marketing campaigns. Evergreen Media in Vero Beach.
Broadcasting from the Evergreen Media Network Studios in Vero Beach, Florida. It's Huntin with Heather.
Hey y'all, welcome to Huntin with Heather. I am your host, Heather Hawk. This is Season 1, Episode 7. And if this is your first time, welcome. And if you've come back to listen to another show, thank you so much. This show is dedicated to all those who love to hunt, love the outdoors, and those who want to learn more. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or a green hunter, this show is going to be packed full of information. We're going to talk deer, turkey, and everything in between. And of course, you can't forget about those stories that keep us coming back for more. So before I introduce my guest today, I want to give a shout out to my sponsor, All Star Plumbing, for all your commercial and residential plumbing services. And I'd like to just briefly touch on the season, our hunting season so far, y'all. We are halfway through the season, at least for my household. We started in September, and it's been kind of a slow season. I was able to harvest the doe, which was great. I've got some meat in the freezer. My husband, who unfortunately has not yet, and he's probably going to kill me for saying this, but my point to this whole thing is that his patience and perseverance, he just keeps going, y'all. I mean, every weekend he's out there. He actually took a week off and spent some time in our lease, and he just is out there every single weekend, hoping and anticipating that the stars will line up, that, everything will be perfect and he'll be able to harvest something. So I would love to hear from y'all how is your season going? What's going on in your world? Were you able to harvest, a fall turkey? Have you got a hog yet? Anything that you've been, going for, have you been successful? If not, how do you feel? Are you still looking? I mean, we still have until January, so we still have some time. And believe me, we will be out in the woods. We're getting ready to spend a week with our friends up in Georgia, and I'm looking forward to it for Thanksgiving. It's just a fun week of time with them and time in the woods. And so I hope that you guys get to do something similar. A lot of people go out hunting during, Turkey, Thanksgiving Day. And so if not, enjoy the time with your friends, enjoy time with your family. And so I hope you get to do all this. And I hope your hunting season has been successful so far. So if not, be patient. All right. So I'm going to introduce my first guest, or my guest today, which is Georgia Dillon. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather. Yep. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have you on, and I have been wanting to have you on because we go back, I don't know, it's been probably 5 years or so, maybe, right?
At least 5 years, if not more.
Okay. So Georgia, she is I don't know exactly what you want to call your title, a firearm specialist. I mean, what?
Defensive firearms instructor.
Thank you. Yes, and a great one at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I met I met you through the Well-Armed Women,
yes,
which was a group of women that met in Sebastian. They're all over, right? All over the state?
Yes. The Well-Armed Women is now known as the Armed Women of America. They've gone through a little name change, but they're still basically the same entity. A 501c3 women's non-shooting, a women's shooting chapter. Nonprofit,
okay,
is what I meant to say. And they are national. There's chapters everywhere, and I actually started the Indian River County chapter in 2016.
Yep, so that must be about around when I met you then.
Yeah.
2016, yep.
Right.
So, and I took your concealed carry class.
So that concealed carry class was a special class. A local attorney had actually paid for everyone to take that class, and he contracted with me, and we put that together as a gift to the community. Yeah. Because training, it's important.
Absolutely, 100%. And it was, it was so important. I learned a lot. I had been trained with, my husband, with hunting, we had trained with, rifles, shotguns, and things like that, but never really a handgun or nothing, a pistol or anything like that. So it was really important for me to, I joined this group of ladies, And I wanted to be around other women. And let me just tell you, y'all, the range. So if you're scared about guns or you don't think you can do it, the range was like, I don't know, 80 to like 21. It was just so cool.
Right.
So I joined this group, and then you guys offered this class, this special class, and I really learned a lot. And
it was a great class.
It was so much fun, and I will always remember it.
Thank you.
And then I was very fortunate enough, we became friends, and I was actually able to go to the range with you and get some more extra time, because one class doesn't do it.
No.
And I'll let you kind of take over on that point, because that's super important. That taking a concealed carry class is great, but
right. Taking a concealed carry class is really just your first step. If people would look at owning a firearm or using a firearm as a sport, and the time that you spend with your firearm is like practicing for your sport. So you're only going to be as good as much time as you've spent with your firearm. A lot of people don't understand that just carrying a firearm doesn't mean that you're going to respond appropriately. Responding appropriately is having that muscle memory laid down, because what will happen is, in a serious event, the reason you're carrying your gun is to be able to be the good guy, or protect yourself,
right.
Protect your family. But if you have never drawn that firearm from its holster and put it on target 3 to 5 shots in 3 to 5 seconds from 3 to 5 feet, you don't know how it's going to go down.
Right.
Some of the holsters are retention holsters. You have different level of retentions. If you have not, like I said, laid down the muscle memory, what happens is when you are in a critical defensive incident like that, your higher brain checks out. Your higher brain checks out. You're going to get tunnel vision, which some people think is bad, but it's your body's way of responding to a threat. So physiologically, your body goes through changes. All the blood from your legs and your hands are going to go to your major organs to keep them pumping, which means you don't have dexterity anymore.
Like in that fight or flight.
Fight or flight. So simple muscle memory, and that's what you're doing when you're using your firearm, is laying down the muscle memory, so that, God forbid, you need it, you're going to respond appropriately, which may not be drawing that hot firearm at all.
Right. And hopefully you never have to.
And hopefully you never, ever have to.
But we need to be prepared.
You need to be prepared, because fear will conquer you if you don't know what you're doing. You will freeze in fear, and that will be the end of your story there.
It's like putting someone in a car, like that's never, like a kid or someone, just like, hey, here.
Go drive this car.
Go ahead, drive.
Right.
Like,
And speaking of putting someone in a car to drive, they would have to go get a driver's license.
This is very true.
This is something that now new in Florida,
we don't have to do anymore.
We don't have to do. But a lot of people don't understand that the criteria that were in effect when you needed a permit still remain in effect.
Actually, there's a few different laws. Like if you have a concealed carry, you can carry on you in your car, correct?
Yes.
But if you do not, you cannot carry
in your car.
You cannot carry it on you in your car.
On you in your car, right. It has to be in a secure location in your car.
I guarantee you a lot of people don't know that.
Right. Right. Or the fact that, still convicted felons cannot have a firearm.
Yeah.
Or cannot go into a range.
There's so many places too. Like I didn't realize that you can't take a gun into. I mean, it's crazy. Right. And I don't think a lot of people know.
Well, what I like to say is if there's an American flag flying over the top, most likely it's a government agency, a courthouse. You're going to take all of those off the list. Post offices.
That makes sense.
Post offices, you actually can't even have them in the parking lot. Schools,
yeah. So if you had your concealed carry though, and you were pulled over in a school zone or whatever, you won't, it's okay. I mean, and you're legal or something, right? There's something to do with that. If you don't though, you can get a hefty fine or even arrested, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the way that works is in Florida, we have two things, one of them being castle doctrine. Okay, so the castle doctrine basically comes from England, old England time, that a man's castle was his domain, and that's it. You can defend that domain. So that's kind of how castle doctrine works.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that castle doctrine law extends to your vehicle. Okay, so in your vehicle, yes, you can lawfully have the car, and if you're in your vehicle going through the school property, where the problem lies, if you get out of that car, you have nowhere to put the firearm. You can't leave it in the car. Can't take it with you. So that's where the problem lies. But driving through the school zone, as long as you're not getting out of your car.
So
castle doctrine.
Interesting.
Yes. There's so many little loops. Like, I can guarantee if you have any officer friends, they'll come up with a 3 steps.
Yeah.
3-step law.
Yes, I've heard that.
It doesn't exist. If you ask a law enforcement officer about where in the statutes is that verbiage,
so
it doesn't exist.
Can you explain, so that 3 steps, so I've heard it, but can you explain what they say?
An urban legend.
So if you have a gun in your vehicle, it needs to be 3 steps for you to get to it or get it loaded.
That was the thought process.
Right.
That was the thought process. But as long as it's in a sealed, locked or sealed container, it could be in your glove box. Could literally be in a Ziploc container as long as the lid was on.
Gotcha.
Right?
Right.
I think the 3 steps are how you're getting to it, but it could be loaded, and that's what I want to drive home. Your firearm should be loaded if you're using it for self-defense. You're not going to have the time to load that round in a critical defensive incident. Yeah. So if you have a firearm and you are using it for self-defense, it must have a round chambered. If you're not comfortable with that, then don't carry.
That makes really good sense, though.
Yeah.
Because how many people carry and don't?
Right.
It's not loaded.
And on your path to becoming confidently in your carry, bring your gun, wear your gun, don't have it chambered if you're just trying to get comfortable with the feel.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
I've had women just wear it just to have it. And, it's funny because you don't see it.
Right.
But it feels like it's a safe coming off the side of you. Because
exactly.
You think everyone can see it, but they can't see it. But you got to get comfortable with those things.
That's a really good tip, I have to say. So if you don't feel comfortable with it loaded yet, like as you're learning, carry it unloaded just so you get used to having it, whether it's in your purse or whatever, because carrying, that's a huge, huge responsibility. I mean, that is like
a huge responsibility on you, because after the fact, God forbid, you have, something happens, you have some choices. You can defend yourself, you can escape, you have these choices. But if you decide to stand and face this threat,
correct, yeah,
and use your firearm, you will be faced with criminal charges. You will go through the process.
Right.
Because how do they know? They don't know what happened until they do their investigation and they know all the situations. You must be an innocent bystander. Right?
Right.
So say that this guy that you got in a beef with in 8th grade put gum in your hair. Well, now some shade has been thrown on that innocent bystander thing.
Even though it was.
Right. And that's what a good attorney will look for and put a case, and your state's attorney.
Right.
They're going to try and do everything they can to make this their picture.
Right.
So it's important. You must be an innocent bystander. You must have no reasonable means of escape. If you can escape, you must escape.
Wow.
Yeah. These are things that they will hold you accountable for. So just carrying the gun, having the gun, you have to go through the thought processes of firing the gun and the aftermath after a round is discharged. You're going to feel bad. You just took somebody's life.
Right, right.
You're going to be held accountable for your actions. So now they're going through your whole life with a fine-tooth comb. Did you make the right choice? Could you have done so? I mean, who wants to go through all that? So avoid conflicts.
Right.
And try to, don't go stupid places and play stupid games.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That is.
It's a lot of it.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. But at the end of the day, safety is the biggest thing.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We have to really make sure everyone's safe.
Yes. So we're just diving in, y'all. So let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's hear some more. This is serious stuff, y'all. All right, thanks.
When it comes to service, All Star Plumbing gets all 5 stars. In fact, here's a real 5-star review.
After having 2 leaks in our copper pipes, we decided to have our home repiped by All Star Plumbing. All Star did the repiping and also arranged for someone to cut, patch, and repaint the drywall. We are very pleased and highly recommend them.
For faucet installation, plumbing leak detection, and pipe repair, in addition to new construction, repiping, remodel, and all other plumbing services, call 772-794-9611. All Star Plumbing. Paris Family Chiropractic understands after a long day in the woods, tracking and hunting, your back might be crying out louder than a call to the wild. Paris Family Chiropractic specializes in back, neck, and shoulder pain relief, carpal tunnel, disc injury treatment, headaches and migraines, sciatica treatment, and so much more. Get back to your prime hunting form. Visit ParisFamilyChiro.com and schedule your appointment today. Paris Family Chiropractic, Vero Beach.
Blue Dolphin Pools strives to provide quality service with a well-trained staff in the field and in the office. They want you to know that your pool or spa investment means much more to them than just another account. They believe you have entrusted them with your investment, and they'll do their best to see that it stays in top condition. Blue Dolphin Pool has been in business over 35 years, setting them apart from the competition. Residential or commercial, Blue Dolphin will keep you in the swim. 567-5853.
Giddy up! Come on out to the Downtown Country Hoedown, presented by Block and Scarpa. A big old party in Vero with live music by Nashville recording artist Thomas Tillman. Midway games, a mechanical bull, line dance, and beer food contests and prizes. Admission is free. Presented by Block and Scarpa Attorneys at Law. Treasure Coast Trees, GHO Homes, and Vero Beach Mitsubishi. Admission is free at the Downtown Country Hoedown. Black Friday, November 24th at 6 p.m. in downtown Vero Beach.
Hey y'all, welcome back to Huntin' with Heather. So I've been sitting here with my dear friend and guest, Georgia Dillon, and we are talking gun safety, fire safety, laws, all those things that are really important. If you own a gun or you have a gun in your home, you need to know these things. You need to know how to properly use it. You need to know the laws to some degree. I mean, you need to know, and you need to feel safe carrying. And so with me, like we hunt, and so we're using guns. And I talked to George about that earlier. It's whether you have a pistol or have a shotgun or rifle, whatever it is. You need to know how to properly use these guns. And I mean, hopefully if you're out there hunting, you do. I mean, you have to take the hunter safety class, but you only have to shoot off one time, right?
Right.
So it's important. So I really wanted to do this segment because I think that with the new laws, and so as of July 1st, 2023, in Florida, you no longer have to have a concealed carry.
Right. Florida is permitless carry.
Correct.
And that's what it's called.
Okay. So can you touch a little bit, about that and what the difference though? Like, I know we still have the same laws, and I know that, you can probably just, they're in your head. So
a lot of people think that this permitless carry just means everyone could just go carry. And that's just not how it is. There are still guidelines, and most of them are the ones that were in place prior to when you needed your permit. And I think the biggest difference is the proof of training in the new law. They're not requiring proof of training from a certified instructor to obtain your permit. But you still have to have an ID on you at all times. If a law enforcement officer asks you for ID, you must produce it if you are carrying concealed. It has to be concealed at all times. And, of course, we do have that one exception if you are hunting, fishing, camping, or in the act of hunting or fishing or camping, you can open carry, but there is no open carry. So permitless carry is not open carry.
Right.
It just means that you have the right, if you meet the guidelines, to carry without a permit. But there are still guidelines.
Sure. And so some of those guidelines, let's just briefly touch base. I mean, hopefully you know some of these, but, there might be some people that have never even had a gun or, watched this show. So what are some of the guidelines? And, could you just roll a few out for us?
Sure. So first of all, you can go find the Florida statutes online. It's 790. And just read through them and become familiar with them so that you know. But you have to, as I had mentioned, you have to have an ID on you. It must be concealed at all times. You cannot be a convicted felon. And then there's other things like domestic abuse and things that have timelines on them. So if this has happened in this amount of time, you are not eligible. So there's still eligibility requirements.
So do you know, though, if I was to, if you, when you go to, one of these, let's say just Bass Pro or whatever,
right,
and I want to get a shotgun or rifle or handgun, I used to have to wait 3 days before I do have my concealed, but I used to have to wait 3 days before I got my concealed in order to get my gun. Is that still in place?
Yes.
Okay. That is so good.
It is good because you can still go get a concealed permit, provide the training document, which is given to you by your instructor, someone like me.
Right.
And that would allow you to go in and get your firearm and purchase it as soon as your background check comes back.
Gotcha.
If you don't have a permit, then yes, you do have to wait that 3-day waiting period.
Nice. So you actually do, the classes that you do, because you actually train. You're certified to train instructors.
Yes.
How cool. How did that even come about, girl? What?
I'm telling you, girl, this whole thing's just been such an amazing whirlwind. The Well-Armed Women, which is now the Armed Women of America, I went to them when I started my journey. And what happened for me is I didn't grow up with firearms. And,
I didn't either.
We didn't have firearms in the house. And as a matter of fact, my son at 18 went into the Army and went off on his first tour of duty. And when he came back, he had to leave those evil black things at his friend's house because I was convinced they were going to climb the stairs and kill my child.
Man, I feel like I can totally relate to that.
That's it. But the thing is I had a tragic incident, and like you said, we all have our stories that bring us there.
Yes.
And mine was my Winn-Dixie in Sebastian was armed robbed, and I just happened to be there 10, 15 minutes before the actual armed robbery, and it literally froze me, and I was full of fear, and I don't do well on fear. So I started my journey, and I went and got my concealed carry permit, which was a crock of poo. I was so disappointed at that. I mean, I literally went to this class for 90 minutes. I shot in a box. I don't know what kind of firearm I shot. I don't know what caliber.
Yeah.
And, here, you can go get your permit to carry a firearm. And I was really disturbed because I didn't feel comfortable.
Sure.
So I found the Armed Women of America, and I started the Indian River County chapter. And every year they have a national leadership conference all over the country. So I'd always go to those. And I was at one of those in Arizona, and I ran into the United States Concealed Carry, Tom Pistolka.
Wow.
And that's how I got into the training. Yes.
And and you're an amazing trainer.
Thank you.
So you guys, we're going to have to wrap up soon. This is how quick it goes by. But I'm going to leave a link where you can get a hold of Georgia. You can get the training. She will do multiple classes with you guys. Go do it. Women, men, whoever, go do it. Y'all, I won't be back until after Thanksgiving. So have a wonderful Thanksgiving, y'all. Make sure you enjoy it with your family and friends. Love y'all. Goes